Welcome to Shays Spiritual Insights. As always, we're so glad everyone is here. Um, Before we start, I have something to share, and I think it's really relevant for all of us because we're all on the committed spiritual path. Last night, we were trying to find a movie to watch, Deborah and I, and that sometimes can be a real challenge because I don't like most of what's on the television. And there was this one on Netflix. It was called uh, The Beatles Yesterday. And basically, it's a Netflix film. And I'll make a long story short. It was the thesis of this was a British film, and the thesis was that that the Beatles, the singer, he was trying to go out and um, make his living, and he wasn't doing very well. He'd been doing it for 10 years, and all of a sudden one night, all the lights went out. He's riding his bicycle home there in England, which is fairly common, and all the lights in the whole world go out. You see this, and then he gets hit by a bus because he can't see and gets on the pavement and knocks out a couple teeth and has to go into the hospital. But when the lights come back on, after that, the Beatles never existed, except he still could remember all the Beatles songs. Now, I mention this because Deborah was like, no, I think we'll watch this movie. Well, my goodness gracious, during that whole thing, all of a sudden I started remembering how it is, you can remember a dream at certain points. I started remembering dreams and some of my dreams were talking about some of the paths of our lives, and some of them that are being absorbed and integrated and falling away as new things come in. And I have these dreams somewhat frequently, but by the end of the movie, for some odd reason, I was experiencing multiple alternate paths of my life as if they're happening all at the same time. As my friend Kay would say, the veil between them and this reality had really, really become thin. And I was in that moment inundated with all these different parallel paths, which were all simultaneously true, yet except for the one that I knew most of them I hadn't done, yet they were very real. And I mention this because I think and Dr. McKinney made allusions to it years ago before he passed, that as the frequency rises, as we move into this higher age, into the higher levels of Earth, we're going to be connected to, and there's going to be a very thin veil again between these things, and we can become aware of them, experience them, and I'm not sure if others have had this kind of experience, but I thought I would share that. And so that was last night. I was just saturated with this whole multi-path experience, and I could see them active all at the same time. It's like multiple, like watching a big screen TV where they've got multiple screens where you can see them all. That's how I was experiencing it. And it came to me today that I felt the universe and the divine were saying, this is something that others are going to be having possibly permeate their reality too. So if it has happened or does happen, just flow with it, because what that is all these other paths that are no longer going to be the ones that we need to experience are going to integrate and fall away, dissolve, if you will, and the other ones we're going to shift to the other ones. So I would expect that others you might experience some of these things too. So I wanted to share that before we started, and it's still permeating me right now, but it's quite a bit subdued. But last night it took me a while just to be able to go to bed, and I kept having these multiple concurrent experiences again on all these paths. So it was I've had this happen before, but not for quite some time. So I think there's some significant to us for all of us, because all of you are on the committed spiritual path. So with that said, welcome everyone. And welcome. I see Jessica just joined us here recently, just a moment ago. And just for everyone's information, Brook wrote me an email earlier, Brook Kristovich, and he said he wanted to be here, but he's working with the tribal elders up in Alaska, and that's a very important work that he's doing. And so we wished him well and said we knew he'd be here in spirit. So with that, wow, let's begin. And I'm going to start kind of reverse of what I normally do. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to go from right to left. And just so happens that Lisa is on the top right. So you start, Lisa, unless you don't want to. Please share what's happening, what's going on, any thoughts, questions, anything at all.
Well, a lot's going on, as always. geez, I don't even know where to begin. Uh, yeah, it just, I don't even know what I said the last month because so much happens in between day to day. And, hmm, I did have an experience. I was doing this course, with the Crimson Circle,
Hmm.
and it's called Love 2.0. And it's about going into a completely brand new love. And after just doing 2 sessions, the next morning I woke up and I was just in my bed and I was just getting saturated with this love. And I felt so calm, peaceful. Um, and I mean, it was amazing. I've had this a few times, and usually there's a long time in between when I experience that, and I didn't really know what it was. And then on Saturday, uh, the Crimson Circle always does a free shout, which Saint Germain starts talking about a specific topic. Well, he decided to go into the Love 2.0.
Hmm.
And we did this long kind of what he calls them a rob, where we just sit back, listen, and it's a shift of consciousness. But when he was talking through that, he says one morning you'll just wake up and you'll just be saturated from the love of your I am, your divine soul. And then you will begin your day from that and continue from that. And then I went, oh my gosh, that's exactly what happened. And so it was pretty wonderful. I was expanded. I was in this great space. And so that's kind of what I've been kind of focusing on, just really receiving this new love. It's not so much about loving others, but it's more of receiving the love from your I am in your soul, your divinity. And so it's very different. And so I'm really excited about that. Um, Lots of just energy coming in every day, it feels like.
Hmm.
I had a question for you, Jeff, after we'd talked. Uh, I've been really focusing on, or trying to focus on, or be aware of, I should say, about uh, going throughout my day, my activities, with my divinity and not doing it from, I guess, more of that human self.
Hmm.
And I guess I'm wondering, is that integrating more? Sometimes it feels like it's happening, sometimes it doesn't. Um, Sometimes I forget. Um, I did set a big intention and just kind of did like what you had said. And I felt the energy come in with that. Um, but I can still feel that part of me where I'm still trying to do it the old way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the short answer is right off the bat, yes, it is working. And the one thing that your high self and your spiritual entourage, the whole crew up there has for you in the divine as well. Um, you're continuing to expand, what we talked about, and your intention that is happening. But yes, you're going to have, as you're doing this, because you're still having old stuff come up. A little it comes up as we're ready for it. It'll seem like it's not happening or it's being diminished. What that is it's coming up. You're I'm seeing one time where you're maintaining your intention and it kind of just gets dissolved, but it feels like it detracts a little bit in that moment. But yes, you are doing it. Yes, and that is happening increasingly so. And as you are focused on your love connection, you're also a vehicle of it for others, increasing. That has already happened. It's it's I'm going to say expanded, blossomed a bit. Um, Blossom's not the right word. I'm seeing it like an expansion of the energies, just moving out, and for those around you. And this is you've started kind of like another step upward in the process that you were already in. And so that's going to keep going. So, yeah, it will occasionally ebb and flow, but it's just know that what you're doing, you're setting it, and you'll be guided into having that become more and more living from your divinity, living from that, and less and less responsiveness from the old patterns, but they will occasionally show up. Yeah. But yeah, you're doing great. They're happy. I want you to know they're pleased. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the process going that you're doing. They're very pleased with everything. And boy, they're keeping it that's all they want to say. Just keep doing what you're doing, because they don't want that process you're doing. We don't want anything they don't want to, bring in next things when you're still, that'll come when it's time. Yeah. So keep it up. That's it. Just keep doing it.
Okay. Yeah, it feels very big. It feels expansive. Yeah, just lots of shifts. I'm excited.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when these things, as it's happening, I don't know how to even talk about it. Words kind of escape it, but it's kind of like it's everything, and yet it's almost like the nothing of the stillness, yet the stillness is everything. And you're in that moment, when you're flowing with that identity, in that identity, you're being the instrument and the vehicle of the divine, and it's a totally different experience than when we live from our human self. It's almost like doing by not doing, those Zen kind of sayings, but that's what you are really. That's the flow you're in, and that's the flow that is serving your growth and right now, and you're moving in for you're moving in, continuing to expand into. And I'm just going to leave it at that. That's from them. That's the short way of saying it. Just keep flowing with what you're doing, expanding, and let yourself be guided, and things will continue.
So you just triggered something. You said the stillness, and I noticed, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I just all of a sudden noticed that it was so quiet. Like there was absolutely no other sound. And it was, again, very unusual because, there's always some kind of background sound from the neighbors, something, right? There was nothing. And it felt like I was in a different place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what you just thought it was, and that is that is why it was the way it was. You shifted.
Okay.
And even if there were noises going on, I don't know that you would have been in a place that you would have heard them.
I just heard abs in I had it before, not very often, but I was like, whoa, it's very distinct. It's so silent. It's so, it's just it's pretty wild when you have that experience.
Yeah, you moved into the void, into the stillness, and it's part of that beingness and that divine. It's one of the facets of it, and there's others that you're moving into. That's all I'm going to say. I can, and in there, that's all I can say. They want me to be quiet, so I'm going to be quiet now. And you're doing fine. Everything is, just keep doing what you're doing, and it really is. Boy, yes. This I can say. This is the pattern of your true self and being, and so just as you're growing into it, stuff will come up because old stuff does, and be not dismayed about it. You just know it'll pass, and you'll be guided. And if something comes up that's kind of annoying, you'll be patient with it. Don't get that negative. So which we said our lower self wants to do. It wants to go in and jump in and do a kind of a negative cycle attachment to it, but just bless it and send it. And you know how it is, and you're going to find, and I think you already have, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it looks like things for you that old patterns, it looks to me like they're dissolving. That's the word I'm going to use. That's the best description to me, what it looks like. They're just fading as you're choosing not to use them, and you're choosing this in lieu of your high connection, your divine connection. It's just naturally being dissolved and replaced by the higher patterns. That is indeed happening.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. All right. I'm the next person on the screen, but I'm already talking, so I'm not going to talk to me. I'm going to go talk to Pat. Does Pat have anything to say, anything to share, to ask, anything at all, Pat?
Maybe later. I'd like to hear other people's.
Okay. I just want you to know that you've taken on one of Kay's characteristics. Kay will always do the, I'll talk to you about it later, in hopes that she can avoid the whole thing. That's Kay's MO. That's how she operates, but we never let her get away with it. But just so you know, I know I meant that very lovingly. It's a
Yes,
you've got a Kay characteristics, and she would love to hear that if you ever talked to her.
probably is hearing it and laughing.
So anyway, I'll get back to you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Now we're going to go back over to the right side of the screen, my screen, that is. Jessica, do you have anything to share? Anything to ask? Anything at all? Just love to hear what you have to say. What's going on?
Hi.
Hmm.
It's been an interesting couple weeks. I've been going through this cleanse with and doing like kind of a worm cleanse and a digestive cleanse. So it's been weird, like feeling weird. So I never know if I'm feeling like if it's a body cleanse or if it's energy or if it's the whole like something's going on that I need to know about. I don't know. So
I can
it's been
answer
like
that.
but huh?
I can answer that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. The body has its own physical energies. It also has, that layer, like anywhere from a half inch to three quarters, and sometimes an inch and a half is the etheric body that comes in, and then those are the energies of the body. You have meridians, and you've got actually, just so you know, there's a spectrum of energies that operate through the body. And a lot of people who work with meridians aren't aware of that there's different frequencies flowing through these meridians, and as you work with the different frequencies, like dialing up and down the AM or FM dial, you're going to start working with different systems within the very systems that we thought were just a single system. They're multiple, they're multifaceted. So I'm mentioning all that because your body is doing the cleanse, and the corresponding energies and systems within that body, because you're intending it, are clearing, and it's moving out in circles. So yes, it's moving out into the energetic bodies, into the etheric, the emotional, the mental, the causal, on and on and on. It's moving out and then outward, and it's doing it quite naturally. So what I would share with that is it's just fine. That's why you're feeling, that's mainly why you're feeling weird. There's a couple other reasons, but it's minor stuff, and it's not for you to be concerned about it. That's one of the patterns of your low self, and it's left over from a long ago, but for reasons that no longer apply in your life. And it's the patterns that your higher guidance and your high self, one of the things that you're in the process of becoming aware of, blessing, and I'm saying it in this for terms, but blessing, just releasing it, letting it dissolve. We talked like with Lisa, and it's going to happen naturally. So what you're doing is just a nice organic / spiritual organic process you're in, and just keep flowing with it.
Oh, nice. Because I feels like I've been letting go of a lot of people and toxic type things going on in my life too, and
that will
clutter,
Yeah.
different things like that. Yeah. So it's been an interesting ride so far.
Yeah, and you're going to find, and this is from, a number of your guides in your high self and the universe, interestingly, the universe, capital U universe, that this is also you're going to find that your relationship with some family members, extended ones as well, that you talk that aren't necessarily healthy for you, are going to become more parochial, less is more narrowly defined, in a way that you can maintain a relationship, but it's more healthy for you and more importantly for them. Because when we let go of these if you want to use some caustic or discordant attachments from our side, and we let them go, the reciprocal is also true. They no longer can use that connection to maintain their things that they need to let go of. So
Nice.
it's a blessing not only unto you, this process of that you're doing, let's call it healing and growing and that, but it's also a blessing unto them. Even if they consciously wouldn't, they would say just the opposite. The reality is it's a very wonderful thing. So yes, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
Oh no, that's perfect. That was kind of that was what I was saying. So I didn't have too much else besides that, but I appreciate what you're telling me though, so I feel better about it.
Yeah, and just let yourself go through it, and it's going to have periods where it's unpleasant. Let's just let's not sugarcoat this. It's going to be that way sometimes because it's lower energy stuff, and some of it's being released, just falling away. But like most of us, some of it as it is being released as you're processing it through your energy fields. So you kind of you experience it, and you think, "Oh my goodness, is there something wrong here?" So long as we don't let ourselves get hooked onto it's like, "Oh, look at that." No, just bless it. You're going, you're leaving. Bless you as you're leaving, and just know it will pass.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what's happening.
Awesome. Yeah, because it makes me really tired, and I'm like,
Yeah, and that's a natural thing to have happen anytime. Whether it's let's just say letting go of the discordant things or as we're making new connections, let's just talk about the positive ones as we make the new connections, which you are doing. Then you have this integration process because all the systems now have to reintegrate with these new connections, and it takes energy. And you may find yourself sometimes physically hungry, sometimes fatigued, and if you need to just take a nap, do it. Let yourself do it.
it's just a problem when I have to do it at work.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on that one. You walk away and take a little walk down the hall, come back or something, and then maybe push yourself, take a glass of water.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
You're doing fine. Okay.
Thanks.
That's from them. Let you know. I'm relaying the information. It's from them. You're doing fine. Keep it up.
Awesome.
You're welcome. All right. Someone has moved themselves on my screen. I don't know how that happened. So I think it was Paula. She did it. So I'm going to do Paula next. Yeah, right. Paula, do you have anything to share? Anything to ask? Anything at all? What's going on?
Well, first, thank you. It's so lovely to be here and see all of everybody and Marci, even though we can't see you. So I've had something strange happen within the last week. It's happened a couple times. I'll be sitting in quiet and I can hear. At first, I thought someone had a TV on in the house or a radio because I can hear all of this conversation going on in my quiet space. And I know nothing's on in the house. At first it was a little disconcerting. And then I thought, well, maybe it's a frequency I'm picking up on. I don't have any idea. But I wondered if you had any idea on that, Jeff.
Well, actually, I do. And we talked about part of it's a number of things. And I want to talk about a couple of them because a couple of them, they want you to discover yourself. We'll talk about the ones we can talk about. What's happening is not only, again, everyone here is committed on their committed spiritual path, and which means you're really spearheading, you're leading the way, you're anchoring the new energies for not only yourself but for the soul group. That's an important thing. We are vessels and instruments of the divine for that purpose and higher guidance, and you are certainly that. With that said, the veils between all these different paths are thinning because it's becoming more fluid. I want to say it that way. It's more fluid because we're able to, as we move on and let things go, we can traverse them much easier. It also opens us up to hearing the etheric realm. I oftentimes can hear my guides talking, and I think it's Deborah talking in the other room, and it's not. It's just they're talking, and sometimes you'll hear them talking about you. They'll say, "Yeah, she's doing this thing over here. Did you know she's doing this?" And if you hear that, just try to pick up on it. But the minute they know you're hearing them, they often don't want you to. That once they are aware that you're hearing it, then they don't want you to hear it anymore. So you're picking up on some of that. You're also picking up on some alternate different levels. And also some different paths that are opening up to you, your own life paths. You're on this one, but as one, and there's different threads within any one path. It's not like it's one homogeneous thing. There's multiple facets to it. But anyway, elements of a path will fall away and new elements will dovetail, come on in, and you're going to start becoming aware of that. So you're having that happening. You're hearing your guides, the veil's getting thin, you're hearing the paths, and there's some other things coming in as well. But you're going to, now that we've talked about this, I think you're going to be open to hearing that and you'll figure that out. They want you to discover it yourself.
Very good. Well, thank you. So that all made very much sense. I had a feeling it was something on that order, and I have been hearing my guides much clearer in the last couple months. I set that intention very strongly for this year that I would really hear and know my guides and their frequency. So I appreciate knowing that that is some of it. I think the only other thing I'm going to share tonight is, it was when Lisa was talking about love. I came home from a walk the other day with my dogs, and I was already in a very expanded state from just being out with and just in pure love because of them. And I get home, and all around my back of my house is a herd of elk, and my heart expanded. I honestly can say it's the first time I felt my heart expand that far, that fast. There was just so much love coming from that herd of elk that I've never experienced. So it was just, I'm still beaming from it. I for reasons I'll not figure out quite yet, but I know I will.
Well, I'll share one with you. Actually, I'm going to relay one to you. Why do you think they were there? I think you know.
Yeah.
You can say it. It's okay to say.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm getting is, I was communicating with them the love that I saw in them. Their majestic beauty overwhelmed me. I'm actually getting overwhelmed just now, even remembering it. There was something so amazing.
Yeah, they sense the love anyway, and in your openness and communication that happens even at subliminal levels, let's call them non-conscious levels or whatever you want to call them, that's present a lot with you, and they picked up on it, and that's why they were there. And then of course you just went from there, and yeah, it was a beautiful sharing between you two. It was just, oh, what a beautiful experience.
It really was.
Yeah.
In fact, it's even impacting me even again now. So I feel really blessed. So really, I'm just thrilled to hear everybody and happy to see all the smiling faces.
Yeah. And one more thing for you. You have you're moving up, just so you know, you're being anchored higher, and you're going to be moving into some new, more higher levels of the same beings you're dealing with, but some new ones as well, and some new communications are going to be happening as well. Along with, as you move up, you're going to have all the different paths and that are associated with the higher levels of those paths you're going to have happening too. So you're going to see some more of that coming up in the next couple of weeks. In fact, it's already happening, but you're going to see, you'll get more immersed into it. It may be subtle, it may sometimes be less than subtle, but that it has to do with that, and you're growing into it. So they want you to know that because you are doing it, and they want you to know that it's happening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome. And they're very pleased too. Boy, everyone, all your guides tonight. That's one thing I'm having. So, sometimes our guides, they come and they're happy about some things, but they have some things like, boy, you really need to work more on this. But everyone's guides are really happy with you there's always some little things, but boy. And I just feel like that's because we're moving into this newer phase of that's coming in, and it's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And that's what we are to choose, is to be focused on the light and not get caught up in this other stuff, because that's not for us to be involved in. As we bring in more and more of the light, it's actually going to help dissolve it anyway, which is what we're to do, which is a blessing unto not only ourselves, but everyone else around us. Okay, well, thank you, Paula. I know Pat wants to wait some more. She's doing a K, so that's all right. We'll do that. Franny, do you mind sharing anything to share, anything to ask? Both. What's happening? And you have your friend there, please.
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here. I'm going to pull a K2. I
Oh,
would like to
man.
wait a little bit.
Okay.
I'm in my office, and so I worked all day, and um, I'm I'm transitioning out of that headspace and into this one, and I want to be fully immersed in this one.
Okay.
But Laurie might have something to
Yeah. Do you
say
have
or
anything?
ask.
Yes, please.
You ready?
Sure.
Okay, well, I know from talking to you before that we were gonna wait a month. So I'm just gonna tell you some things that have been going on and you comment or not, or
Okay.
whatever. So we talked a little bit about my guides, and when I was late high school, early college, I felt like one of my guides, his name was Marcus. And so that has been coming through to me. And I was thinking about the female guide, and I thought maybe her name was Aurelia, but then I put together Marcus Aurelius, and I thought, no, that's probably not it, but maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, but a couple of days after you and I talked, I had to go to Kalispell, and I was thinking about this thing about having to wait and understanding and accepting, but still, I feel like I'm ready to move on some things, and so I was I was thinking, well, here's all these books I'm reading and guides and everything, and they say time isn't real. So if time's not real, why are you telling me to wait? And I could hear in my head my guides are saying, "Oh, you're such a smart ass." I'm sorry, but that was coming through. Um, I've been working with my counselor. I've set the intention for some time to it's been very different from the time I had kids until now, which has been about 40 years. Um, I've had a hard time accepting what my life has been about and how it's gone. It hasn't felt like me. And one of the things that has come through is what happened is that I went into survival mode. I've been in survival mode for about 40 years. I had a lot of training experiences in past life regression, in meditation, up until the time I was 21. And then when I started this other part of my life, that took a really big back seat. And so explaining it in terms of just having been in survival mode was helpful for me to be able to put that in some kind of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my email, I saw your emails to me with I did the meditation. It was great. I did the chant. You sent me a chant. Maybe you sent it to everybody about bringing in healthy relationships. The On Prana one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was doing that, and my phone was going on and praying. I'm going on and I'm a musician, and it didn't take too long before I started singing harmony. I don't know if you're supposed to do that.
It's fine.
And then I couldn't stand it anymore, and I went to the piano and I wrote a 4-part round. And then my phone is still over there going on and praying, and I Um, and so I kind of wanted to ask about that. Do you really have to stick with the chant? Do I need to be a little more disciplined about that?
Um, I'm going to share first. I'm going to back up to where you started. The
Okay.
name for your female guide is pretty close, by the way. Pretty.
Okay.
So she wants you to kind of refine it, and whatever you call her is fine. It will evolve.
Yeah.
It will evolve. Okay. You have patterns from this life and previous ones
Right.
that have not served you well, and they're
Okay.
they're habituated from the low self. Subconscious likes to hold on to that stuff, and
Mhm.
and what you're aware of, very much so, is your true self. You're getting that connection to your true divine self, your true, I'll just call it your true self. And you recognize in your heart, you know who you are. And what your high self and guides are slowly, gently moving you into is to bless that period. The years that we've spent lifetimes, everyone has spent lifetimes doing patterns that have not been for their highest good. And so
Right.
myself included, and we all have that. But what you're to do is bless it. You are now, if there's anything served by it, it's your awareness that it's not you. Live
Yeah.
from your spiritual heart. If you feel like singing, sing. If you do rounds. There, you don't have to don't let the left brain dictate to you how it has to be. Just let
Okay.
yourself flow with it. And then if things fall away, they fall away. You're moving into it right now, and you're getting close to being ready. And this is from them to letting some more of it. I don't want to use it dissolve, but break up so it can dissolve some patterns.
Mhm.
And then, it happens kind of layers at a time or pieces at a time. And then once that gets kind of smoothed out, then we're ready for the next piece. Be patient,
Right.
but it's happening. That's what they
I
want.
can feel it. I
Yes,
can feel it happening.
it's happening, but it's going to go slower than you want. And part of it, you've been
Yeah.
feeling like it's right out there. And why that is because part of the low self is still holding on to it. So it keeps being out there for a while. It's not that it's not an illusion. It's just that things take the time that they take. Processes take the time that they take. We take time. They take the steps that they take. And in this
Right.
world, we call that time. But you're doing it, and be patient, because you are dissolving and kind of breaking up, kind of like, we would something like sugar that's been sitting in there and it kind of got caked. And we're breaking up the sugar so we can take it and scoop it up and pour it. You're breaking up the old patterns of the lesser self, and they call it karma, but with just old patterns. And as you do piece by piece, and it'll naturally be the next piece that needs to be, it's going to get broken up. You'll become aware of it and dissolve it. And how you're doing that is by living from your heart.
Yeah.
You're doing that more than you know. Keep growing in that.
Okay.
And if you feel like doing something, you're called to do something, don't let your head talk you out of it. You see a chant or a thing, do it. Your heart knows all. And
Okay.
yeah, so
Well-
that's the short answer that they have for you. That I believe
Okay.
that's the short answer.
Well, I had another aha thing yesterday. What could be the gal I'm seeing, we've been doing EMDR
Mhm.
because I really want to let some of this stuff, a lot of it go.
And you are. Mhm.
And it came to me that a lot of what came up for me is as soon as I had kids and things didn't work out the way I thought they were going to, that a lot of things were fear-based.
Mhm.
How am I going to take care of my kids? How am I going to take care of myself? And so moving into recognizing that I have always, I've never been homeless. I've never been hungry. I have always been taken care of, and being able to move into that wholeheartedly. So
Yeah.
that just came up yesterday.
Yes, and that is something that if even was happening even before you were aware of it, and keep moving.
Yeah.
Just let it. It's going to happen. I call it a spiritual hyphen organic process, because it happens naturally, and just like water naturally finds its own path, we are naturally guided to the next thing will come up that little piece that we need to become aware of, bless, release, whatever it is we are to do with it. But most of it is to just bless it, be aware of it, and keep connecting with the divine, because the low self and ego love to crunch on things. And what it wants to do, it makes you think that you're working on things that can make them better. The reality of what it's doing is holding you into a pattern of its own of old design. Now that you're aware of that, and I think just our talking about it here, I can see there are already some more things happening to open you up to let that process continue. But again, be patient, because you're working on a big piece of this that it's going to take a little while for that to happen. And then as it does, more and more will happen.
Right.
And as time goes on, it does get faster.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. It is kind of interesting. I had a memory of an Atlantean lifetime when I was probably about 17 years old. And that has been coming up, those details have been coming into my memory over just the last, I don't know, 3-4 days. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I have been sick since July more times than, I mean, yeah, I'm human. I get sick every once in a while, but it has just been one thing after another. And if there's anything anybody has to tell me about, I don't know if it has to do with releasing this
Yes.
spiritual stuff that I'm doing, or I don't know what it is.
And the
If there's some,
corresponding energies of your body that correspond to that.
okay,
Yeah, and just so that's what I'm going to share, and if others have something to share as well. But and what this is from one of your guides, I don't know, it's one that I don't think you're completely aware of. But there's a fine line between being aware of something that illuminates the situation so that we can connect, and moving to that next step to where we want to start trying to do left brain, low self stuff. That I mean, there's some utility in it, but the higher pattern for which you're moving into, which you've decided and committed yourself to doing, is to just be aware of it, become and connect with the light, connect with the energies that are associated with the higher pattern that this thing is, whatever this thing is, whatever area it is, the higher pattern that is your true self, and let the other thing fall away. I often use the word dissolve because that's what it looks like it happens, and let that happen. You sometimes let yourself get caught up into the low self patterns, and you just be aware of that, and just let yourself be aware, let yourself connect, and you're doing a lot of that. Just keep doing more of that.
okay,
Okay.
all right, good.
Well, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to share? Please, I don't want to, if any thoughts on that at all.
Just it seems like Laurice showing up in our group is like the timing is wonderful, right? She was ready, the group is here, and she's at this point where a lot is shifting for her. So I just wanted to reflect on the synchronicity that she's kind of come right in and feels like she's always been here,
Isn't that funny how that happens? And I just, when we allow things, we flow with things, the synchronicity does happen. So I agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's wonderful you're here.
Well, thanks, because it feels pretty wonderful to be here.
Yeah. Thank you. Glad the whole group, and what a blessing. It's all this energy flowing in from my screen from all of you. It's like, wow, all the streams. That's wonderful. Is there anything else before we move on? We'll come back to you, Franny, as well.
Thank
All
you.
right. Next, I'm going from right to left this time, and this time it's Marci is over there. I want to say hello to Marci. And do you have anything to share? Any thoughts, anything at all?
Yeah, lots of little bits and pieces. Okay. First thing that comes to mind, one of the things I was experiencing, Paula popped in, and I think it was something, it was a higher frequency thing going on. I don't know if it was galactic or what, but it was just fun because it's like, there's Paula, I don't know if you see anything about that, but it was a treat.
I can confirm it. Yes, did.
Okay. The Adamas that Lisa was talking about with the 2.0 love, that really was amazing. And there's somebody that Andrea McKinney was listening to, and I think it's the same thing. I've been doing it for a while, and it's like a really expanded, it's just a beautiful, it's like Lisa described it. It's really beautiful. So it's nice to have more of that coming through now, and not so much clearing and clearing and clearing constantly going on. Let's see, what else? When you mentioned the Mandela effect,
Mm-hmm.
I had that yesterday too with a Mandela effect. It was like, this is really weird. It was a thing that I was told about, and I won't go into that, but the whole thing like shifted the world. It's like the whole world got turned.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, it was like, this almost feels like another timeline, another, like everything changed kind of thing.
Well,
So I don't know
mandalas,
if it was just what
now mandalas can do
was
that.
that?
It opens us up to other, it's a whole thing. A mandala is. We have a mandala you can draw of your life and the energies of your life, and that's. But it can be done for anything, and our relationship to the world can be it. But all I'm going to say is that is something that has opened you up, and it happened because you are. And one of the things I was going to share because they want you to know. Remember we talked before that this process you're in right now is healthy. This is part of that. And and like you said, it's not constant clearing. It's a growing and expanding and other things. And those are things that you are going to keep. You're moving into, and as we talked about, like with Paula, your higher guidance wants, and the universe wants you to go through the process of doing it, and so you are, and just keep doing it. It's happening.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like game changers, just coming out of nowhere. Like in a way, it's really uplifting because you see that you don't need to know how something's going to happen. We hear that all the time. You really don't need to know. It's
That's true, and it's
all
sometimes
right
best.
there.
Yeah, sometimes it's best if we don't know. And one is
Yeah.
a spiritual adventure to do it that way anyway. But the universe and divine know what they're doing. They don't need us to tell them. And
Right.
yeah. And you're doing it. And that's what they want. They're really, I want to use the word circumspect. It means, how do we say it in the colloquial term, keeping their cards close to their vest kind of a thing. They're really being tight-lipped because you're on the process, and they're really want to convey to you how important it is for you to continue doing this. So I'm not sure if it's being with your kids or being with your there, but this process you're in is going to continue for a while, because it's a natural follow-on to all that you have done up to this point.
Okay. I still have I know one time, a long time ago, I asked you about like having a home or where to live or something like that. And I was asking, was it a pattern and an attachment? And you said something like one time, Kay had said, sometimes those desires are there for more, they're there beyond attachment. They're there because that's part of it. And so I still have that going on where it's like I know that I'm.
Go ahead.
Well, I know that on one level, it's nothing to do with the physical home or your own place, or I know that it's the real drive or the real pull or push is from the deeper level, but it still shows up. It's still experienced physically too.
And it's there. I'm going to continue to be blurry on this for a number of reasons, but I'll share this. It is there because it for that reason, and I remember sharing that with you. You're right. It's also your spiritual home, which this whole process you're in is growing, expanding you into these all these energies, and I don't even call them skills. So I want to call them just experiences and connections with your own being that allow you to have that connection to what we call home. And as you're processing that at the spiritual level, when it's time and when you choose to, believe it or not, you will have a home. There's a part of you, a very significant part of you that's very nomadic. And
Yeah.
antithetical to, and that's the word I'm going to use, to having a permanent place, because it locks you down and holds you in place, and then you feel like you're being restrained.
Yeah, it's so weird to have both those things going in the same body.
Yeah. And it's so why we're sharing all that, and I'm going to use the word we because it's from them and divine, is that that's where you are right now. So give it time. I want to say when, and I'm going to use the word if you choose, not if it can happen, because it can happen. You can have a home, but if you choose, it will happen, and it's going to happen in a way that's going to be this. I can share. It's going to be a little different than you expect. When there comes a time where you find yourself settled in a place, in a situation, I'm going to call it that, it's going to be different than what you may expect, but it's going to be perfect for you. Boy.
And will I recognize it? Will I recognize it?
Yeah, with your open heart, yes.
Okay.
Yes, but you have to go through the process you're in right now for you to get to the place where you can be aware. Boy, and I'm skirting the edge of this, so I can't talk any more than that. Boy,
Okay.
I'm dodging the guardrails here. They've got guardrails for me to observe, and they're saying sparks are happening because I'm rubbing on the guardrail. So that's
I don't want you to get in trouble.
I don't want
them to take away your.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. As long as I recognize it, that's the thing.
Absolutely, so you will recognize it.
To know I'll recognize.
You won't miss it.
That's the thing.
It's like a blossoming rose. You won't miss it.
Yeah. Okay, because I've got stuff dangling in front of me, and it's like, no, that's not it. That's not it.
You are correct. That's not it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Those are things that are. You know why they're dangling in front of you?
Well, I feel like I'm testing myself or firming it up. Like, no, you know this.
Yes, I want to take you away from the testing because it's not that so much. It's firming it up. It's your recognizing. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it. That's might have been it 20 years ago or when I was doing that other pattern. That was right then, but it's not who you are now. And that's why this whole process you're going through is wonderful. It may not feel like that as you're going through it from time to time. And there are certain periods, but it's absolutely necessary for the very things that you are seeking with your heart and your spirit and your being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
See, all of your guys are just everybody's. They're all thrilled. I'm using the word. They don't use the word thrilled. It's like this. They're very elated. That's spiritually elated, energetically elated of all the processes of progress that's being made with everyone, and just because these are the times for these things to happen for those who are ready, and you're ready. Is there anything else? I didn't mean to, but I wanted to just say I can't say much more than that because I've said pretty much all they want me to say and maybe a little bit more. That's
beautiful because I can relax knowing that I'll recognize it. So that's beautiful. I kind of halfway have a sense that for everyone that something, and for a couple of different reasons, it feels like something's coming like the end of the summer or like September, early fall. It feels like something's happening. And I don't know if I don't know what I'm looking at, but that's what I'm getting.
Things are unfolding. I'm going to say it that. And this has to do with what Dr. McKimmey talked about, Edgar Casey talked about, others. These times we're in, these evolving times. And the soul group has a lot of the things that were there before we talked about, and it's been a few insights ago that we talked about it. But there's all these new paths that are available for the soul group, and for those in the soul group, different people are going to follow it. But it's wonderful, and some of the The heavier ones, there's going to be those who follow it, and that's their path. That's fine. Bless them. They have a need to do that. But there's so much that's happening for those who are ready for the light, who are ready for the higher paths in their lives. They're there, and it's the energies are happening. And again, I want to I know I'm a little bit of a broken record, but they really want to emphasize this from the divine, because all of us, all of you, are doing the work of anchoring the things in your own spiritual growth. Is not only fostering your own path, but that of making it broader paths available to others. And that's our service to others as well. So yes, I can say things are coming, and there's a number of ways that things can go. And we just, you know what, it is for all of us to follow our spiritual heart, to follow our higher guidance, and to allow others to do the same and not get caught up. And that's one of those Zen Buddhist teachings. Don't get caught up in other people's karma. You don't get caught up in their stuff. Because sometimes our low self, we have little pieces of our low self that wants to do that because it's desperately trying to hold on to the old stuff because it knows the new things are coming in and they're going to wash away the old, and that is truly the path that we're all on. So that you are all on. So keep it up, Marci. Keep it up. Wonderful. That's from them, by the way.
Everybody.
Okay, I'm going to move on. Tonya, you're in the screen. You've kind of remained in a good spot. Do you have anything to share? Anything to ask? Anything at all? What's happening with you?
I don't really have a whole lot tonight, other than just sickness has been going through the house between me and my daughter, so I'm not feeling entirely the greatest. Unless you have just kind of something in general, I don't really have a lot tonight.
Yeah, the only thing I want to share is that when you get through this energetic, it kind of looks like it's like thick, heavier energy stuff, and not all of it, clearly not your own, but you're gonna move into some lightness and some light, and some things are gonna be coming relatively soon, like within the pretty next few weeks, and to really let the other stuff that the usual things that our low self wants to hold on to or pay attention to, the lesser patterns, they're there, whatever, they'll let them be whatever they are, bless them. But this light coming in is it's a good thing for you, and it's something that you've already begun to connect with, and it is in your higher good for you to continue to connect with it, because it has other things that are going to come in with it. And it's going to be soft, and I don't know if the word's subtle, but soft like a breeze coming in, at least at first, and then it can grow from there. And I'm not even sure what it is. If anyone else has any thoughts, please do share, but that's what I'm getting right now. So if anyone has anything to share, please jump in. Okay. Is there anything else, Tonya? I don't have a lot more to share other than that.
No, I don't really have anything. I'm just kind of quiet tonight, but thank you for that.
All right, well, thank you for sharing. And yes, and if you ever, if you have a question, I can give you I work on the weekends and stuff, but if you send me an email, I'll respond as when I can. And but maybe in a couple of weeks, send me an email or something to tell me how things are going.
Sounds good. I will. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go back up to Pat. Do you have anything to share? Any thoughts?
I will share that I have had ups and then downs. And like, I don't know, I don't know what to say.
Okay.
A lot going on in my family, and I feel like I had a cranial session yesterday, and I said to Alice, I just really need this for me. I need to take care of me.
Yes. And you are indeed doing that. And boy, you are, and I already know you know this, you're in the process of, I think from time to time at different levels of our being, both consciously, non-consciously, and even in levels that we're not even aware of, we go through a sorting process. We kind of put what are the elements of going on in life in any and all areas, and we look at it in whatever areas that are appropriate, and we sort them out, and we find out those that are to go and those that are to stay, and those, if they do stay, what do they need to look like? Because what they look like now isn't what they are, where they need to be. That is indeed the very process you and John are in. And it's, and you're moving, it may not seem like it right at this moment, but it's moving on. The energetic, heavier sludge energy, or I mean, if that's the right word, thicker energy that's heavy, you're in a process of having to let go. The elements that created them, you're in the process of letting go, the seeds of them. And that's going to help you in your relationship to all those events in your family and in your life. But it's going to happen. It has to happen gently and I would say slowly, but it has to happen gently and in a way that allows you to keep an even keel, a more even keel.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm sensing it and seeing it. They're showing me some. Some they're keeping it kind of foggy and veiled, which means it's not for me to know until the time comes that you feel it's time to share it or it's time to become aware of it.
I like the way you use that word seeds. Maybe you could explain.
Can you say the word again? You're kind of blurry. Your voice is a little bit.
Seeds. I like the way you said the word seeds.
Okay.
And maybe you can explain that terminology a bit.
Okay. We have seeds of patterns that we have that get planted and they're planted and they grow like a plant seed because it serves us in that time. And at that particular point in our life or lives, could be past lives, this life, earlier life, or in a different, it could have been 2 weeks ago. It could be that quickly. These seeds are the patterns that keep fostering what we do and how we do it in our interactions with others and our interactions in relationship to things and people and just our own jobs, anything at all. These seeds are seeds that you're going to the seeds of them that at one time they were appropriate and perhaps right. They may not have been the highest pattern for you, but they were a pattern that worked. You are now at awareness that you cannot continue doing things in this way. You cannot continue having your life be these kinds of interactions in these areas, and they needs to evolve, and it needs to, you could say go away, but that's not the right word. It needs to dissolve and evolve into whatever it is. It may mean that our relationship with a particular area or person or becomes, I use the word parochial, actually from them. That's the word tonight, I guess that's the word of the day. Much more narrowly defined. And in that way, it can become the extent that the relationship or interaction with something remains, it remains in a healthier manner that is growing into a lighter, brighter, healthier pattern. Sometimes they just go away. Some things just fall away. You're in the process of sorting these. It's like you're putting everything on the table, sorting it out, kind of putting it in their little groups and looking at it, and it will naturally, you'll become aware of things. So some things will just go away or change all by themselves. Others will require your interaction. That is, in some things you're a little ways into that. In other things you're just starting with. Those are the seeds of that you're doing. And it's patterns that you've had for a long time, and they're patterns that exist in other areas of your life, and you may not recognize, and so we often don't, that this thing over here that we do is the same thing, only different to this thing that we have with this person over here. And we don't connect the dots until we're further into it, and you're going to need to get further into it to become more aware of it. But that's what you're in, and it's a process, and it's a very necessary process. And as you set, I'm getting a little long-winded here, but as you set your intentions to move these processes higher into the light, into the higher patterns of your higher path and your true self and their true higher path and true self, for those words, other people, things will naturally evolve. And you may find yourself, just so you know, holding on to some of the very things that you know you cannot. They must go. It's kind of ironic. We find ourselves doing the very thing we know, and yet we may feel like there's nothing we can do. It has to stay, but we don't let our lesser self thinking. Just know that you will be guided in the universe and divine, and your higher guidance, your high self, and your whole crew and theirs will help it. The end result may be that it's different than what you think it's going to be. And it may be different than what you want it to be. So that's me not sugarcoating my answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're working through it. It's moving in the right direction. Let me share that. That's from your high self, by the way. She wants you to know, your divine self wants you to know this is what it is, but it's hard. It can be hard. It's challenging right now. I'll use that word.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We can talk more at some other time if you wish. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, thank you, Pat, for sharing that. And I know that was, it's on your heart. It needs to be talked about, and for both of you and John. Okay. I'm now going to move to Brook, who said he wasn't going to be here, and now, to our delight, is here. Do you have anything to share? Anything? What's happening? What's going on? I'll let you share what's happening in your life. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear it. Anything at all?
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're clear.
Okay, because I'm wearing a headset or earpiece set because I'm in a hotel room, so I thought I'd give you a call. I didn't know I was going to be able to join tonight because I am traveling up in Alaska right now. Came up to Bethel for a couple of days of tribal leadership type stuff with the health clinic, and just one of many trips that I've been taking up here. I missed the last couple of meetings with you all, so I apologize for that, because as I started to tell Jeff a little bit of what's been going on in an email, when I thought I might miss this, just a lot of things. It seems like, time has gone by so quickly, so fast, that I feel like I'm missing things because they're going so fast. I'm missing important dates that I thought were important, like birthdays and important things in people's lives. And I think, oh, I forgot to send a card. I didn't even realize it was their birthday. I missed that phone call. Things that I have never missed for years. I've been missing some of those recently. And then, of course, missing being on these calls with you all. And as I've said before, missing maybe the personal connection in person, things like that. And so I was kind of sharing that with Jeff in a brief little text, because I was traveling when I sent that. And then also missing people who have gone on, and some and then some that have been family, thinking for some reason they've been present in my thoughts anyway. And then I just start talking to them, letting them know what's going on in my mind anyway. And it's just been an interesting time. And I don't know if Jeff, you're already picking up anything on that. And I'll stop there and see what you come up with.
Well, boy, I'm seeing so many people in this place, and including myself, and we all go through it. You're at a point of one, those people, you already know this, those people are there. You've got all these things, and it's okay right now because it's not your intention to miss these things, but it's a point of all convergence of all the many threads of your life that are coming together, a convergence, and then an evolution into I just see them. I see them all coming together like little points of all these different things, and they're turning into light, and then that light turns in to the next moving into those patterns, maybe with the same people, whatever else, but everything remaining the same, yet your relationship, your own spiritual growth and evolution helps you connect with everything and they with you and things with you in a new and higher way. That's a pattern you're into and have been for a while. You go through this and you're through another one, and it's really necessary for you to do this for the processes that you're in, boy, all over the place in your life, at work, in your own life, with relationships, the tribe. And it's really important that this boy, you're in that process. I want to just talk about it generically. Here we go again, because you are in the process of discovering and exploring and then connecting with and then bringing in, anchoring as you always do, and then bringing it into your working reality, awarenesses and skills and abilities and connections that not only serve yourself or your own growth, but serve others. And that's certainly true of for you, your work, and the tribe. And that's what, that's my short answer, believe it or not, to what's happening.
Yeah, and I think I can relate to a lot of that, Jeff, because I've been making different kind of connections to different people within the tribe as a whole, and individuals, to families, to work relationships, and just the responsibility overall. And it's nice to get the affirmation and to see the changes that are happening in people after we've had these interactions. And I don't think necessarily that there's a drainage of energy, that they're necessarily sucking energy. It's just going through that process of sharing, but also seeing the result and saying, wow, that's cool. And then get to see them off and on as they continue to be developing in a different direction after having the interactions with them. And that's been kind of a positive affirmation in itself. And
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, and if I mean to interject before I don't lose it, you are allowing yourself in newer ways, in expanded ways. That's necessarily new. Being both an instrument and a vessel of the divine. These things that you talk about with others, there's little channels associated with it. Let's call it that. And once you have this connection, they have a connection with that energetic channel through you, sometimes with you, but often through you, and they continue to use it afterward. So they're not sucking energy. You're just allowing yourself to be a vessel. And you've known that about yourself, but it's increasingly so. And the granularity of it, the fineness of it, is getting refined as well. So it's happening in even more nuanced ways than perhaps even you are aware of in your connection with others and things.
And I appreciate you saying that too, because I believe I am becoming more aware, because I'm more freely saying things as they come through, as I share. And it's not like I have to hold anything back anywhere, because this is who I am now. And it just flows, and it flows in a positive impact, because even one of my people, I'll just put it that way, so because I know this is recorded, one of my people will say, and I'll say this to them, it says, this is going on. That's why it's so tough. And they said, yeah, before I didn't have to think about this. I just brush it aside, but you make me think and process it. And I said, well, I'm not doing anything. You're the one dealing with it now. And you're just becoming more aware because of this relationship and the reason I'm here. And so that's kind of cool. And having that type of thing happen. Yeah. I guess I have another thought, because I don't want to be distracted in life, but yet, I do an RV life for part of my living. Yes. We have a solid home in cruises that you've been to, but we have an RV life that we do more part of our everyday thing now, during the week anyway, and then on trips and stuff. We're thinking, okay, maybe we might be a want, but one last RV trade to get the one that will make us happy so we can go on and do some traveling and then connect with the family, the grandkids who now are starting to say, Uppa, we want to take a trip with you. We want to go on a trip with you. But in the little trailer we have, it'd be pretty tight and small. There were no real place for them to sleep or stay at, other than maybe the floor, but even that's limited because we've gone small. We're thinking about going back to a little larger again, and then making our trip north after we do it, maybe, or when we do it, I don't know. But are you getting anything like, Brooke, you're just kind of distracting yourself a little bit? Stay with that little thing you got and be happy.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Your guides were telling me, to my surprise, I thought, well, with my left brain, my human brain, thought, yeah, that's a great idea. They want you, not quite yet. They want you to wait. It's
Right.
a little like you need to become aware of. Their guides want you to wait for some reasons. I'm not sure if it's some event that needs to happen first to give you insights about what you need to do before you try going out and doing it. The word is premature. It's premature to do it
Right.
quite yet. It's if and when the time comes, and it's a good probability that it will, you'll have a better insight as to why it was prudent to wait. And the word is prudent.
And I appreciate that, because we have opportunity, and waiting, there's no reason not to. It's not like we have to go do it right away.
Yeah,
It's
and
just, that's part of the want
yes,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
So that's a little bit of affirmation there.
Yeah, you are absolutely, and yeah, and I think it seems to me like you already knew this, and it is waiting for that to process through to where all of a sudden, I think when you get to the other side of it, where it's clear, it's like, okay, now it's clear, and when the time comes, then you'll know, then you'll be ready for the thing to show up in your life, the right thing to show up. Whichever one it is for it to happen. But yes, I'm going to say is that, yeah, some things have to happen first for you to have some insights and awareness. That's the words I'm going to use to know what to do or what to get.
Right. And then I guess one of the last things is, it's just interesting in life, in my professional life, that I tend to get these calls periodically. I had one a few weeks to a month or so ago saying, they send me a text and they send me an email, and then they call me saying, you need this, you need to apply for this position. They need you, you'll do good, and you're the one person for it. And in one case, the person said, even the chairman of the board said they would hire you if you applied.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, wow. And I had Teresa listening in on that phone call, because we're not usually together when some of those calls come in.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, interesting. Back to the Northwest. I thought, okay, but I'm happy. Things are going well. I'm getting affirmation that I'm in the right place still. It says, why do these things keep popping up? And not to distract me some more, but go ahead.
My answer is going to be relatively short. You already know, boy, in yourself, your perspective on this. And these things come up. And I think it's not, people think of them as tests. I don't see them that way. I just think does this resonate with who you are? It's one of those things where we recognize sometimes it's an opportunity to move into some new facet of yourself. The job reflects that. The energies of the job are part of that, and it's a wonderful opportunities. I think you already know the answer. They don't want me to tell you, but you already know the answer.
I'm going to turn my camera on just for a second so you see
Sure.
me. I got a little hair here.
Yeah, I see that. But it's coming up for you to affirm who you are and what it is that's true, who you truly are, and the path that you're truly following. That's all I can say. And boy, That's it. Boy, they're really, really clear on this one. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say.
Yeah.
And as you're saying that, to a few people on the call already, I kept thinking, what if I say, go ahead and tell us, don't stop, even though they're asking you to stop? Would you be able to?
I'm not very, I'm not, I've shared this with all of you. My friend Kay, and if you don't know her, but she was just absolutely incredible. She is a wonderful being, very exceptionally gifted. That's an understatement, even saying that. But I'd watch the stuff coming into her. We'd be talking, and I could see the very answer to the question that I'm seeking is right there in her consciousness, and she's not sharing. And I was like, boy, at the time, I was like, oh man, I really want to know this thing. And I've since realized it's best that I didn't know. I've come to that level of spiritual maturity, if you will. But she could have, like I said, you would talk about cards close to your vest. No, there's nothing here for you. It's like, yes, there is. I know there is. There it is. So I'm not that person. You're going to know I know. So I wish I could do a better job at that. I'm working on it. So, but anyway, that's what they want you to know. You know, there's coming up so that you can affirm who you are and the path that reflects the true radiance of your divine path. And I think you've already said the very things that tell you where things are, at least for right now.
Okay. And then more on a personal note, you've kind of said you work on weekends, so the best time to get a hold of you if I wanted to would be when?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and I'm often during the day. In the evenings is better because I've got things. You know, we all have that. We work at work, and then when the days we're off, we're working doing something else. We're projects at home, whatever it happens to be, trips to go shopping, that sort of thing. But yes, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are the best days.
Okay.
And if you want to set up a time, just shoot me an email, and we'll try to set something up so that we can agree upon a time to talk.
Okay, and maybe you'll have more to share on a one-on-one.
A little bit more, but this is a process you are in, and you are well equipped. You're well attuned to navigate through it. But go ahead and call me. That's what I can say here right now.
Well, I've taken up enough of everybody's time. Thanks, everybody. Love you all.
Oh, so glad you came. So glad you made it. I told everybody you weren't going to be here, so I'm glad you made me incorrect. So thank you so much. Blessing.
Well, I'm 2 hours behind everybody, so we ended and I came right to the hotel room and connected. So
all right. So
okay, later.
2 hours behind us. I mean, you're calling us from the past.
Let's see.
That's my attempt. Okay, I'm not going to quit my day job. All right. So there we go.
No, it's a little after 6. So
okay,
up in Alaska time. So okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, Franny, do you have anything to share, to ask anything at all?
Oh, sure. I wanted to say to Brook, when you were talking about being in Alaska and the meetings with the tribal leadership, I just had an impression of one of the ways you're influencing is that you're bringing light. So just your presence there, you're clear about you're a vessel, you're there to serve, right? You're there to be a conduit for the divine and bring that light through. So I could see the light that you were bringing, but the other thing that was happening was that there were all these little sparks going off in the room, in that your presence was allowing more light to emerge between the other people there. Yeah. So it's not just you with other people, but your presence is allowing for a higher level of connection between the people that you're working with. It was really a sweet little image.
Yeah. He's catalytic, you might say.
Oh, beautiful word.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Franny, because it's been nice to come back and then people, of course, recognize you because I'm from this area originally, but yet certain people that you come back to professionally, like this meeting, coming to you because they remembered who you were from the last time you came and what you contributed the last time, and then they come and ask questions. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So thanks, Franny.
Sure. Um, I, a couple months ago, I don't remember when this was, but, I had expressed an interest in animal communication. And so I took a brief course on that. And that was just really fun. And I find myself having better and improved communication with my cats. And also with kind of the nature spirits that are around my house. And so that's really lovely. There's a group of deer that will come through, and I feel like there's some energy there that I'm trying to work with. I feel like they're showing up as teachers for me if I if I'm ready or open to that. So I'm really enjoying that. And I love that the sun has been out. It just gives me so much more energy. I have pots of dirt on my porch from last year. The plants aren't in them anymore. I've pulled the plants, but the dirt is there. And I'll go out and I'll dig in the dirt and feel how frozen it is, you know? So some of it's thawed out a little bit, some of it's rock solid, some has just a couple inches of loose dirt. And I'm like, yeah, it's you know, the days are coming when I'll be able to plant. So I'm kind of excited about that. Um, I I'm really grateful for the time to kind of shift gears. I have some clients that are struggling. There's been a few people that are wobbling, and I'm aware that it's causing me to wobble a little bit. So, um, you know, I guess I need to pull back a little bit and be sure that I'm doing what I need to do to stay grounded. Just
Yes.
some hard stuff, you know, some hard stuff. And you know, one situation where it just feels like the people involved feel like there's no way out, no solution, no that there aren't any options. And I see options, and not if they stay the same way they are, but I see options for them, for that family. So I think that's I think that's all I want to say right now. I was, as we were talking, I was really tired. I went through kind of a big energy slump, but now I'm revving back up. So that's a good thing. So I'd love to hear anything that, any guidance that you have, or anything that my guides want to say.
Well, I just, what they had want to say is what you just said, which is what you're doing is the very thing you need to do, and is, it's something you do from time to time, but you know, as with any skill, the more we do it, we bring it to another level. And in the skill of separating yourself out so you're okay and grounded, and their stuff, and separating out the processes that that need in your own life, and helping others. You're refining this keeping that which is yours, and that which is theirs, while allowing yourself to be a vessel at the same time and not get pulled, you know, because the wobbling, you know. And what your guides are saying is that's you're doing the very thing you need to do, and there's more for there. You're in the process right now. You're in. I think you're still doing it, and you're going to keep refining it. I think after it's completed and kind of crystallized within your being and awarenesses, you're going to have some reflections and insights about it that are going to be helpful for you, not only in continuing keeping good boundaries and keeping yourself in the place that you need to be so that you can help others guide them to where they need to be, but also insights that these things connect to other things. And I know I'm speaking somewhat nebulously, but that's what you're doing. And so I could probably get the information, but I think that would short circuit some of your learning. You're doing fine. This is what you need to do. And make sure that, and they really want you are truly being guided to do what you're doing. I guess in short, you're doing what you need to be doing. And the reason why that's important for you to know, because as you're in this process of moving into you're walking the path of your life, and new things are coming in, this process is going to serve you in upcoming things, upcoming unfoldments. I'm going to call them that. Okay.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have anything to share?
Yeah, Franny. What I was seeing is that you're releasing this old pattern that you've had uh, for a very long time. And what it is that what you do is you come down and you match other people to make them a little bit more comfortable with where you're at. But what I'm getting is your guidance is saying it's time, and you've already it's already starting to come into your awareness that you don't need to do that anymore. You can stay at your own vibration and allow them to be where they're at. And because the matching part, when you start coming down and matching them, you're starting to take on stuff. And then
Okay.
that creates that ungroundedness. So you're already in that process because you're aware of kind of what's happening, but they were saying give you a little bit more information that you are releasing this old pattern of needing to match others to make them feel comfortable. And you're moving more and more into just holding your vibration of where you're at. And that will continue to keep growing and expanding. So I hope that's helpful.
That's super helpful. It's super helpful and it makes sense to me. And I don't even think that I'm really, as we're talking, I don't really think that I am quite aware that I'm doing that. I think it's so automatic
It is.
that,
You've been doing
um,
it since you were a kid.
yeah, huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because when we're kids and when we're more aware, we come in as bigger beings, let's say, we're more connected to our divinity. We have these experiences with others and we start to realize that we have to kind of, in a way, hide ourselves. So we kind of match others to kind of blend in.
Yeah.
And we actually learn that, I should say, in other lifetimes too. So,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
but you're moving out of that.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. That was well said. I really like how you described it. They gave, boy, you brought in a facet that I, didn't even come through. So thank you. That is wonderful. And yes, and that is awesome.
I have another question for you, Jeff.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you can answer this or not, but um, I was talking about the communication with my cats, and one of them in particular, I seem to be getting closer to, or she's responding to me. I've always been close to the other one. Um, one of my cats has the feature or has the pattern of kind of looking as though there's somebody else in the room. And so I've started to wonder if she's seeing someone who's passed on or just a guide or a spirit or what have you. And so she did that today. And I was like, I wonder if she's seeing, one of my guides or one of my helpers. And it was very comforting to me to think that she was. So she'll like fixate on something. There's absolutely nothing. There's not a bug, there's not a shadow, but it looks like she's looking at something.
I'm going to give you two answers. The first one is yes, she does see that occasionally. But are you aware, boy, and people who see auras clearly, and this is certainly, boy, this is really true of you. When we think of something or someone or something, it'll show up it can show up in our aura. Beings and guides and other energies that we're working with and things that are happening. And she is very keen to that. She's also a character, by the way, that cat. What a character she is. Oh my goodness. When you talk now, I feel like, oh my goodness, you are something else, kitty. Anyway, in a good way. But anyway, yeah, that she sees, yes, both those, and she'll see facets of things in your auric field.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yep.
Mm.
So she's watching you, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
and she has, for a cat, she interestingly has insights. I'm going to use the word, that's not quite the word. It's animal level awarenesses, whatever I call it, insights, not quite right. Because of of seeing those things and being aware of them.
Hmm.
It subtly changes the interaction she has with you. I don't know
Oh,
if what
wow.
I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but that's
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
No,
And animals
no,
often do see this, by the way. I've been aware of that. Our dog would see, but nature spirits or something too. Some in that I was like, wow, I didn't know you could see that. And interesting. Any other thoughts? Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you. Is there more? Anything else?
I have to add something to that. Franny, about the cat, and Lisa, about your dog and the relationship you have with your pets, and just the special relationship and the need to have them in your life. Just a real quick short story, hopefully, is on our way back from the coast in Texas after the new year, we were at a rest stop in Texas, and there was a stray dog, was abandoned. It was a beautiful little miniature collie, and like a little, like that, I think that's the right kind of dog. And it was starving, just skinny as ever. And so we had we started to feed it. It wanted to be friendly, but it was scared. It's like it had been surviving for some time out there by itself. So it came up close enough. Then she wanted to jump in the truck, but yet she didn't trust us yet, but she wanted to come with us. And so finally we got her comfortable enough that I was able to lift her up and put her in the truck, and she just didn't weigh anything. And we were talking about, we were rescuing this dog, thinking we were going to maybe keep it. We didn't know what we were going to do with this dog. Anyway, we only had it overnight, and she kind of really had an effect in our life for the 24 hours we had her, because we got further down the road and decided, I don't think we have any right to have a dog at this time in our life the way we live. But this dog was such a loving dog. And finally we called the sheriff's department, and they called animal control, and we were able to hand it over. But I held her one more time, just nuzzled up to her face, and she just fell right into my hand and just said, what are you doing? Let me go, and that kind of a thing. But the pets have such a thing within your life, just that bond that you all feel with your pets. I'm not that much of an animal person to own one, but I love your pets. I'll love your dog, Lisa. I don't know about cats though, because I'm allergic to them. But but they I would love to not be allergic to them. But there's such a tie to you, and
Yeah.
it's fun to see that because you'll see them looking. I've seen that. It's like they see something there, and you sense that they see it. So we almost were pet owners, and we still talk about this pet where Teresa was actually looking into getting a dog, saying, oh, I thought you really wanted one because you just keep talking about that other dog. So I don't know. It's just they can make such a quick connection, is I guess what I'm sharing. So it's pretty cool though.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke.
Wow. Well, it's about that time. So we're going to wrap her up. We've been going for almost an hour and 45, 40 or so. So with that, it's been, gosh, what an awesome time we've had here. I feel like the energy level has really risen in what's coming in and the connections, and it's certainly reflecting in what's happening. Even when it seems like it's not such a good thing, but it's happening in our lives, these things happen so that we can release them, the old patterns, the heavier stuff, so we can move into the higher patterns that await us. And it's certainly happening with everyone. So without further ado, I'm going to go around everybody, just any last thoughts, any comments? Pat, anything to share before we go?
I just want to thank everybody for being here and being who you are and what you share with each other and all of us as a group. Much love to you.
Yes. Thank you. Paula, anything at all to share? Any thoughts? Anything at all before we close?
Nope, I'll just echo what Pat said. Thank you each, and very high energy tonight. I was really drifting there a little bit on and off. So thank you all for sharing such wonderful energy.
Yeah, thank you. And it has been coming in, pouring in from the divine, by the way. It's really super high. It's anchoring all of us, by the way, to even higher levels as we've been on this call. This gathering, it's wow. I agree with you. Thank you. Franny, anything?
Just echo the gratitude. So good to be here. Lovely to connect with everyone. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Lisa, boy, yours is on there too. My goodness gracious, I've been watching you.
Yeah, I've just been getting like blasted with
Yeah.
energy, like
Coming in like torrential, but it's super high frequency, so you may not know it's torrential. Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? Because there's only like a couple people after me, and then it just started getting blasted, and I was like, I don't think I can talk. so
Wow.
I kind of had to wait till towards the end where the energy is like, yep, you got to say this to Franny. But other than that, it was just like pouring in.
Well,
And she was getting really revved up by it too.
I'm glad you did share, by the way. That was wonderful. Yeah, it is. And what's happened to just the divine wants everyone to know during the session, because while we're talking, it's like when we do our work. When we're working on someone else, they're working on us, and they're during this whole gathering, they've been working on us and growing us in this short time, and all kinds of stuff's been happening with all of us, all of you. So just the divine wants you to know that your higher guidance, and it's going to continue for a bit. Well, yeah, it's going to continue, revved up a bit. So thank you. Brook, any last thoughts? Anything at all?
Well, like everybody else, I am hot, so something's going on here. And when I saw somebody starting to get a little woozy, I thought, oh, Brooke, you better stop talking. You're driving. People are getting bored and tired.
No, it's coming. And it's
But
beautiful. It's divine. It's beautiful. Thank you. It just is. It's wonderful.
Yeah, but I got all hot, and so I'm good. Thank you, everybody, and I love all of you.
Oh, we love you. Jessica, any final thoughts? Anything at all?
Do you want to say something?
Oh,
I knew it was going to be intense when I was still at work today, and I was like, whoa, there's intense energy going. So I was like, okay, something's happening tonight. So but it was great seeing everybody, and I love to hear what everybody has to say. So thank you all.
well, thank you. Marci, and then we'll go back to Franny and just anything, because I think, Marci, anything to share? Anything else?
Oh, just blessings, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, and just keep it up. And Franny, do you have? Didn't want to cut off.
I thought maybe Laurice would want to
Do you have
say
anything
something.
to share? Wasn't sure if she did. Any final thoughts? I wasn't trying
Well,
to exclude you, but thank you for jumping in there.
It just feels so I grew up in a family that was out of the ordinary. We thought and believed and were interested in a lot of things that other people were not. And I learned from a very early age that there were a lot of things you didn't necessarily talk about at school with your friends and all of that. It's just been amazing to me and such a wonderful feeling to have fallen into a group where I feel so much at home. So thank you everybody for being so welcoming and open and here.
Well, we're so glad you're here, and we're glad. I mean, what a blessing for all of us. Each one of you is a blessing, I think, for each other. We're just here for each other, and that's the way it is. Open hearts, being channel of the Spirit for each other, and so much happens when we come. Even this short period, so much happens. Some of it we're aware of, much of it we're not. So thank you all, and until next month, blessings, light, and love, and I'll get this posted as soon as I can.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Love
Bye.
you.
Bye.